Hi everyone, so it has been some time since I have taken a look at a gimbal in the channel. Why is that? Well, of course, phones are improving with their optical and electronic image stabilization, but there still are certain cases where a gimbal, especially one like this, does come in handy. Or if you have a phone like I do, which is the Redmi K30 Pro, also known as the Poco F2 Pro, it doesn't have any electronic image stabilization with the front-facing camera, so the footage is very shaky, and a gimbal like this can in fact improve upon it. This gimbal here is called the Smooth XS. It's from a company called Zhiyun. I'm not pronouncing that correctly, I know. They sent it out to me in exchange for this video here. So this particular model, super compact as you can see. Why is it so thin and why is it so compact? Is because it's just two axis stabilization that this one has. So if it had the 3, it would be slightly wider, so it's pocketable, and it does extend out into really a big selfie stick, which is good for vlogs. So it really is, I feel, a gimbal focused more towards those that take a lot of vlog footage. The Smooth XS comes in this very nice little box, well packaged up, and you'll notice first up is this right here. So they just tell you that before you can actually use it, you do need to activate it with the application, and then you get access to the controls. Otherwise, it just does not work. So you need to pair it up via Bluetooth, download and install the ZY Cami application, which I will show you later on. That's there. And it's also just stating that you need to download, activate there as well. So look how small this thing is. It's tiny, very, very small, and it's only 254 grams. So just a rough estimate here. The length of it is about 19 centimeters here. So that's great. So very portable, and you'll see why with the design of it too, which I will show you shortly. So we've got a little mini tripod here as well that you can use with it. And this one screws in with the standard thread, so you can use other tripods as well. This opens up to the 3 feet style there, giving it quite a bit of stability. You can put it down on a table and just use it that way, whatever. It's great that we do have that included in the box. What else have we got? So there is a cable here, so Type-C to USB for charging it. I've got this as well, so if you wanted to use that, a little tether there, so you didn't end up dropping it. And they've also included a case for the whole thing too as well, just to keep it protected, putting it in your bag so it doesn't scratch up against anything. You can see there, it does say Smooth XS. So this will fit in a pocket if you've got large pockets. 19 centimeters is the length of it, but what about a rough width here? So it's not bad at all. Look at this, about 6 millimeters. Very compact design. And how do they get this to be so compact? Well, it's the way the arm goes down here. And of course, it's only a 2-axis gimbal. Most gimbals out there, the other smartphone ones that they do sell, like the Smooth 3 and all the others, they are 3-axis, but a much bulkier design. So this is keeping it compact, but we lose, of course, the up and down movement with the gimbal, which I will show you later on with the sample footage. So right here, we've got their logo right here on the front, a nice grip, and here is the zoom. So with the controls, we've got the zoom, digital, of course, with their application. You need to be paired up for all of this to work to the app. And the control, okay, this one here does actually work without using the app. So you can just install your camera and use it manually without using the application. But then those 3 buttons here will not actually do anything. So this is the modes, start and stop to record. Now up is for your tilt and down. So tilt, left and right tilt. And this is for our pan as well. So panning left and right with the little joystick here. Good quality, it has a nice feel to it and feedback. So right here on the main arm, we have the power on. So tapping this, you need to hold it for about 2 to 3 seconds, it powers on, and then just afterwards, it'll tell us the status of the battery. So each one of these lights represents 25%. Right now, I've got somewhere between 75 and 100%. So battery life, you're looking at about 4.5 to 5.5 hours, depending on what you're doing and the weight of your phone, of course. And this is the main arm. Inside here, I believe there is the battery pack for this. Charge time with the Type-C port here on the side is approximately 3 hours. So good quality. Now, the good thing about this is why I say it's more of like a vlogger's. It's a really overglorified selfie stick, maybe. But look at this. You simply pull out here to extend, and you've got this extra long now range with it, which is great. And that gives us just a lot more room to fit people in the shot, of course, with your selfies. That's the only real time that I think I would ever use that. But it's good to have. So what about getting it started and set up? So this here, you need to push it up, clicks into place. So the previous model the Smooth X, this would flip around. So that's the main change here, that arm comes up, saving a little bit of space. And right here, you've got the solid grip. So rubber right here. You need to open this up to insert your phone and try and find a point where your phone is balanced as well. Because if it's too heavy on one side all the time, it won't actually be giving you stable footage, and you'll use up the battery a lot quicker too as well if it's not balanced. So this does a lock in place for transit. And I'll show you what it's like. So when you insert a phone, for example, my K30 Pro Zoom, it's very hard to get in with the first couple of goes because the spring tension is very, very tight. But once you do it about 3 or 4 times, it's a little bit easier. So you need to get it in there quite nice, like now that it's gripped into place, and make sure it's secure. You don't want your phone popping out. And on the side here, there's actually a little bit of a gap for the buttons. So the buttons with this particular phone aren't actually pressed, even though the grip is over it in the middle. And normally you find a place where it's heaviest. So often down the bottom is a little bit heavier, so you need to just shift it to balance it out. So when it is not powered on, it's not going to always be down. You just try and get it in the middle there if that is possible. So overall, it's a quality plastics they have used. There are no sharp edges, good build quality. So in your phone's app store, you want to find ZY Cami, that's the application. And when you do set it up, you will first have to do this device activation. So you turn on your Bluetooth and then you pair up to it. You need to register, sign in, and then you're able to use the gimbal. And in my case, when I did install the application, straight away there is this firmware update to improve the system's stability and a newly added protection mechanism against malfunction. So they're always going to be pushing out firmware updates just to tweak and improve things if needed, of course. I'll run you through the application. So it looks just like any stock camera app, but of course with settings that are catering for this gimbal here. So video resolution up to 4K 30, 1080p, 720p. We've got a mode here for our gestures, so we'll see the gestures that will trigger it. For example, you make the gesture, start, stop recording, or take a photo. You have their glamour effect mode, and we also do have a few settings down here too as well, so pretty self-explanatory there. Under gimbal, there's some interesting ones with scene mode, run. You've got your follow modes there as well for the gimbal. Joystick speed, the zoom speed, invert the pan and tilt control. If you are unhappy with the way it's set up, then you can just change that, invert it of course. And we have our photo mode, so that's self-explanatory, taking photos. With the main camera, it always uses the main camera. You cannot use or select your ultra wide or your 2x optical zoom. And we've got a smart mode down here at the bottom as well. And we've got time lapse finally. And they do recommend, of course, you do need a tripod for this. And hyperlapse. And lastly, live stream. So time lapse, by the way, just to point out, you can use 4K 30 frames per second for that too, just like our video maximum mode. Okay, so starting out here, this is footage with my Redmi K30 Pro Zoom, which does not have any electronic image stabilization with the front-facing camera. You can see the footage is of reasonably good quality, 1080p, but it is suffering from just tremors and shakes in general because that lack of stability here. And that makes the footage not quite as usable as, for example, have phones that do have that electronic image stabilization. Now I just jog ahead, and you can see that it's kind of going all over the place. And I've only got, well, the length of my arm here to get myself in the shot. So I'm going to swap over now to the gimbal. We'll use that and we'll see what kind of difference we can expect. And I will be using, of course, the Smooth XS's application for this. So using the application now, the footage is quite a bit more steadier. Now you can see the jolts occasionally coming through as I walk ahead. So it's not perfect. You remember that it's stabilizing not the up and down movements because it's only 2-axis gimbal, so it's the tilt, the pan, but it also has electronic image stabilization applied here that, of course, this particular phone does not have with its front-facing camera. So because of the selfie stick and it extends out, I'm able to fit a lot more into the shot, which is another bonus here with this. And if you do tap the mode button, you can then use this to be fixed. So it's fixed now on the background there. So if I was to move to either side, you can see that it's going to keep, the gimbal's going to move around and just keep changing that. So it's not perfect, this footage here. In terms of stability, you are seeing a little bit of shakiness come through, but for me, it is so much better than using the stock camera application. Now tapping again here on the joystick, sorry, just using the joystick, I can adjust the tilt on the fly. So if I found that the horizon was off with my vlog footage here, then I'm able just to adjust it. You can see me moving the joystick, tapping it up or down, how that is just changing there a little bit. And then left or right, you can also get it to move the whole gimbal to the left or to the right of the shot if you needed to do that. For example, you wanted to fit someone else, you're able to do so, which is handy to have this. So we'll just jog ahead a little bit right now, just to show you again that stability. This is actually just in the walking mode, so it shouldn't be as stable. I'm going to try it now in the run mode. Alright, so the gimbal is now set to the run mode, and I've also got it to follow with the roll and pan. So I'm going to just jog now ahead, and hopefully this should be quite a bit more stable. Running ahead here, I'll just jog. I think that looks a lot better, of course, than a stock app, which I'll swap back to now, the stock camera app here. So the same thing, I'm just going to run ahead, it's just the phone up, hopefully I do not drop it. Jogging, basically, you can see that shaking all over the place. So the gimbal with its electronic and then the 2-axis stabilization, definitely doing something. So this here is an example of 4K footage if you didn't have the gimbal and no electronic image stabilization or any form of image stabilization. I have it all disabled. And you can see the footage is okay, but it does shake around a little bit. So this is me just walking. I'm going to jog now a little. And now we'll do the same thing, but with the gimbal using the software. So I have it set to the 4K 30 frames per second mode. That's the maximum you can do with this particular application of theirs. I don't think there's 4K 60, or it doesn't support it, at least with this mobile. So I am now just walking ahead. Normal walking, I'm not walking like a ninja or anything like that. And you can see, yes, some jolts are coming through. And what about light jogging? So jogging, you can see, yes, it is bobbing up and down, of course, there a little bit. But it's better than, of course, not having any form of stabilization. And now this is the phone's native camera application with its own electronic image stabilization enabled and optical. We'll see what kind of difference that makes. The same exact test, so walking ahead, but I am using the gimbal. And now I will just jog lightly. You can see that's a lot more steady, and the gimbal is probably making it even more so. And the last final test here, 4K again, this time no gimbal, the stock camera application here with the Redmi K30 Pro zoom. Just like walking ahead. And now I'm going to run. All handheld, no gimbal. So maybe a little worse off. The gimbal I can see is definitely making a difference, making it just that a little bit more smoother, better usable footage. So this phone does have optical and image stabilization, but you can see here side by side that the gimbal is actually doing a little bit to help make the footage just a tiny bit smoother than just using the phone itself. Now here's a sample of handheld panning. So just use the joystick to pan to the right here, and as you can see, it's got a lot of judder to it, quite a bit of stutter, not as smooth as I had hoped. So a few other things I want to show you, that what I was talking about trying to balance it first, you can see that my phone is tilted at an angle, so you just try and adjust it, slide your phone either left or right, just to get it somewhere in the middle where it's not tipping up or down. See, now that's even tipped out even further. With some phones it'll be very easy, with others it might actually take a while. So here with my particular phone, which is the Redmi K30 Pro, it looks like it doesn't want to play. There we go, somewhere about there. So that means that it's more or less balanced. Those motors do not have to work as hard. It won't use the battery as much, and you get that up to, say, 5.5 hour battery claim there. I'm seeing around 4.5 with this particular phone, which is a little bit more heavy, of course. So this really, I feel, is a gimbal that would really benefit people that vlog a lot and your front-facing camera does not have any electronic image stabilization, any form of stabilization, as you saw with this particular phone here. So I will definitely take the footage of the gimbal versus the very unsteady footage and shaky footage you get unstabilized with this particular model here. Now the selfie stick mode that it has, it extends to 55 centimeters in total. So that is actually quite a good length considering how small the grip is. The grip is about the size of your hand here, and they've done a good job with that. Now build quality is great. This can also be tilted up as well, so you can just get that gimbal right in front of you for those selfies, of course, sorry, vlogs. So really for vloggers, I feel with this one. Now if your rear camera on your particular mobile phone doesn't actually have any form of electronic or optical image stabilization, or it's a very old phone that has the older generation optical image stabilization as well, it tends to rock around, then a gimbal like this is going to help out, definitely. However, this is 2-axis, okay? So up and down movements as you saw from my samples, will still be coming through there. So that's why you would probably go for one of the smooth Q line or the smooth 3/4s, the smooth 4 that has the 3-axis gimbal. That allows you to have, of course, the up and down movements like walking will then be reduced greatly, that this particular gimbal is definitely lacking in. So it's all about a small compact size. I mean, just look at this thing, how small it folds down to. Is great for portability. You travel a lot, and for someone like me, maybe I'm going to go to an event. I'm going to go to a phone launch event when the world gets back to normal, of course, and I can just take this along with me. It just fits in a pocket. So I have front-facing, better footage fitting more in. It's really like an advanced selfie stick that does contain the 2-axis stabilization there. So thank you so much for watching this particular video on the new Smooth XS. I hope you did like it, and I do hope to see you back in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.